All right, Mayor Stevens, we are good to go.
Thank you very much. Thank you and welcome everybody to this discussion only meeting of the East Lansing City Council. Will the clerk please call the roll, keeping in mind our new rules regarding virtual attendance?
Councilmember Babcock.
Present and attending from my home in East Lansing, which is located in Ingham County, Michigan.
Councilmember Bacon.
Present, attending virtually, East Lansing, Michigan, Clinton County.
Councilmember Watson.
Here, attending virtually in East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregg.
Attending virtually from East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
Mayor Stevens.
Present, attending virtually in East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to that agenda before we approve it?
We had, I guess, discussion meeting. So if we want to have something that's a little bit more in-depth discussion, do we want to add it or can we just bring it up in council member comments?
Mr. Lahanas, how would we add a discussion item onto the agenda here? Would we be able to make a motion for it? You're muted.
You mean for this evening, for now, or for a future item?
For this evening.
We may have to ask the city attorney because of the rule that virtual items, I don't think can be added unless that rule has been updated. I don't think you can add items once you post the agenda, but I can just.
Okay, you know what? Then let's stay on the side of caution. And I know the item that Mayor Pro Tem is referring to, and I'll address it in my comments to the council then.
Sounds good.
Okay. Is there a motion on the agenda then?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Babcock. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Wonderful. We are on to our next item, which is communication from the audience. And Emily, would you mind letting in anybody that is here to give public comment? Public comments limited to 5 minutes. Emily will be giving you a 30-second warning. And in the effort to make it fair for everybody, I will be cutting folks off at 5 minutes. So I apologize for that in advance, but that will happen.
There are no callers on the line.
Okay, just kidding. I will not be cutting anybody off at 5 minutes. And there's an announcement that written communications are posted on the agenda on the online packet. Next item is communications from council members. I'll start just today because I have one thing that I wanted to address specifically. A while ago, we as the East Lansing City Council passed a resolution trying to push state lawmakers to make a change to the arrest record rules in place, basically signifying that if somebody isn't charged with a crime or they are acquitted of charges, that arrest record is not public. Now that has gone through several iterations and ended up with a couple of substitutes, one of which that I was completely understanding for and actually thought it addressed an issue in the field, one of which I was less than excited about but willing to deal with, and then the other one is something that I'm not necessarily so on board with. And basically what the bill says is the one change was that victims of that crime were able to access those records. So I think that's important for situations where there might be a civil litigation involved, where there might be a personal protection order, cases of domestic violence that might need to be accessible via those folks. I thought that was a good change that addressed the issue. Second change that was less than I was less than excited about was that the records would not just become not public; they would become inaccessible through iChat. Now that's the system that normally an employer or somebody in housing would use to assess somebody's criminal history and background, do a background check. So while somebody could walk into a court and request those records, still it would be less accessible than before. So somebody, really the point of the issue is trying to make sure that those records for somebody that is innocent, really, because we live in a country that is innocent until proven guilty. So if they're not proven guilty, then they're innocent, and that those records wouldn't follow them around, when they're trying to apply for jobs, housing, or really just in life. I thought that the compromise there was reasonable, although I was not necessarily excited about it. The last thing that I wasn't really excited about at all was the portion of the bill that stated that the statute of limitations needed to apply or expire before those records would be taken off in terms of cases where charges were never actually filed on the person. Now, I think that this kind of makes the package null and void. And the reason why I do believe that is because we have situations where a misdemeanor can be a year, 2 years. And if those records are still available online, and there are other situations where, again, the person is innocent until proven guilty, but they might be arrested and those statute of limitations might not expire for many, many years, or in fact might not ever expire. That record's still going to follow that person. And so in talking with our lobbyist earlier today, I suggested, is there any possibility that that clause specifically gets addressed? So the clause on limitations, or the statute of limitations specifically, gets addressed to either just back to the original language, which was if somebody's not charged, it's not available on iChat, or some kind of timeline that is not conditional and varies. So something in a reasonable timeline, or just no timeline whatsoever. And so honestly, I would look for some input from the council, and you can feel free to send it to me later. We can discuss it at a future meeting, but I'm trying to grapple with it. This timeline, I assume, is going to happen fairly quickly. So just because of House session days. So, you know, I don't want to make a decision based on, you know, a small amount of information, but unfortunately, sometimes session days and what happens in the House of Representatives and our state level happens quickly and without much notice. So I wanted to bring it to the full council, just so everybody's aware that this conversation's happening. And I wanted to just try and be as transparent as I could about it. So that's my comment initially. And I will go to other council members now. Councilmember Babcock.
Thank you. First off, ask and ye shall receive. We have extra recycling pickups through the month of December running on Mondays. So if you have a lot of packaging coming through your house right now with your little elves, you can put out the extra recycling. Always welcome. Secondly, I have a bit of a bug. So if I sort of disappear from the meeting, it's nothing drastic. It's just that I'm not feeling well. I think I'm going to make it, but it wouldn't have occurred to me a year ago to put that warning up there, but now it seems reasonable. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Watson.
I'm just going to piggyback on the bills that you were talking about. And just for people that would benefit from a reference, it's, I didn't have all my emails pulled up. Do I say HO or H0? I want to reference the numbers.
Oh, the House bill. Yeah, you can just say House bill.
Okay. House bill number 6256, or I'm sorry, everyone, do I go by the email?
Yeah, 6255 and 6256.
Okay, good. And will you say it again one more time?
6255 and 6256.
Yep. And so those are the ones that we're referencing. So mine are just questions because, again, the resolution that you all are talking about took place May of 2020, and I wasn't part of city council at that time. And so my questions are just, it references the lobbyists. Is communications from the lobbyists something that we would see, or is it something that's different? Because it specifically references that, and then it's like, how do you keep track of it if you're not getting looped back in? And my questions was the iChat part the part of it, or was it a more expansive part of not having access in more than just the iChat spot? And other things is, as a parent, when I volunteer at the schools, I have to sign something and then I have to take it to DHS so that they can do the clearance. Do they run that clearance through iChat, or is that somewhere else?
The last question I don't necessarily know the answer to, but the first question I believe George can answer, and then I'll probably hop on the second.
Okay. And also wondering, Whitmer recently signed something that took off charges. And this is when you are actually charged, but just wondering if those have anything in common, or if one of them is beneficial to what it is that we're trying to do, or if they're just, completely unrelated, because one has to do with when a person is actually charged as opposed to what we're talking about here. And the last thing I wanted to mention is many of you have probably read in the news, COVID-19 is spreading more in our jails, and that includes in our county jails. And while we're talking about people behind bars who have not gone to trial and have not been convicted, we still unfortunately have a slow legal system where we have people behind bars, untried, and they've been there for over 12 months in our jail. And so I just wanted to bring that up as we talk about what it is that we're talking about. And that's all I got today.
George?
Yeah, if I could just, so your question about the lobbyists, typically because these things happen at variable speeds, really she would sort of rely on counsel's direction at the beginning. And then I think with staff's assistance, try to just get the best outcome and the closest outcome for counsel at that point. If there's time to bring something back, certainly we can do that. But sometimes when things happen in a session, she'll just take the best direction from counsel and try to get the best outcome. So I don't know if it's always possible to check back in. If it is, and that's counsel's direction, we'll certainly try to do that. If not, we can take the general direction we received from counsel and do our best to implement it.
Yeah. And your second question, I believe, was regarding whether or not iChat was originally in there. The original proposal was that the records would just be non-public. So
Okay.
that was, again, one of the subs that was made that, might have been a compromise there. And yes, to George's point, I've been helping out with this since May, even when I was mayor pro tem, just because having a member of the city that is, available for, let's say, a committee hearing, right, that can testify to say East Lansing wants to see this because X and X is helpful. But yes, generally that will be done through staff. And the only reason why I brought it back was just because I wanted to see kind of what the full council had an opinion on, because I have my opinions, but I'm one member of the council. So go ahead, Councilmember Babcock.
Councilmember Watson, I think I can help answer some of your questions. What Governor Whitmer did earlier in the year is to expand the expungement opportunities. So expungement is wiping away a conviction after you've been convicted. Having charges generally is the term you use when someone's been charged for the crime. So an incident will occur, police do a report, they forward the report to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor issues charges, and this is something that a lot of people think the individuals involved issue charges against each other. It's the people of the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. Or, so that's when you have charges against you, and you are under charges until you are found guilty by a jury or enter a plea, in which case you're convicted, or until charges are dismissed, in which case you are no longer under charges. I will say iChat is not the only thing that's used. I don't know what the East Lansing schools use. I do know that it can be used for a background screening. I believe there are other tools that get used. I think the Girl Scouts had something done through state police, mm-hmm. which may well just be iChat, but it could also be more. Mm-hmm. The gold standard of a background check is LEAN, the Law Enforcement Information Network. And LEAN is available only to officers and prosecutors. My greatest frustration as a defense attorney was I couldn't get the LEAN. Under state law, it was criminal for me to get the LEAN. So I didn't necessarily know all of the things that one of my clients had been convicted of or charged with. So I hope that helps answer some questions. The ultimate answer is, where's Mr. Homier for this? It depends. There's always a contingency in there somewhere, but hopefully that helps.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bacon.
Yeah. Looking at the House bill and just looking at the point on statute of limitation and expiration, this is typical that it's regressive and it's unfair. It has elements of racism and elements of classism in it. If you have disparity at the point of where the charge takes place, you have disparity in sentencing, you have disparity in representation. So all through the process, when we're talking about statute of limitation on what the eventual charge or how long the statute of limitation based on the actual charge that takes place, disparity of impact. And of course that wasn't considered because it's the usual suspects who brought in opposition to this bill and diced it up and without even thinking of the impact. There's a huge disparate impact here for who actually will be sitting under this for much longer, just based on those 3 points. And I think it's pretty obvious, and it's probably pretty obvious to the first people who pushed for this measure, as well as there tends to be a tendency now among certain groups and classes that they don't ever intend to abide by the rules anyway. So I don't think they write rules that they intend to abide by or believe apply to them or their group. So ultimately, it's a nasty piece line item inside of what would have amounted to a really good piece of legislation. And I understood Aaron's dissatisfaction with kind of the baby and the bathwater here. So it is very challenging. It's morally challenging. And I talked about it a little bit earlier. I think I felt a little bit different, but really giving it some thought. I'm also torn on it as well.
All right.
And otherwise, just on the COVID-19 front, just be safe. I think it feels like we're in the final leg and in the worst part of the movie right now. So be safe, keep your family safe, and continue to be smart. That's it.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, it seems like the comments have kind of echoed my feelings on the House bills. I think including that statute of limitations designation essentially limits the good that would have been done otherwise. So I don't need to belabor that. I'm going to say I don't think that the iChat thing is good enough either. Court records are actually not that difficult to find. So I would push back on that part as well. But anyway, I think as of Amy Schisler-Schmidt's email this afternoon, we had 25 of our downtown businesses signed up for our gift card program, which I'm pretty excited about. So just to summarize my comments from last week, that's a new program, new vendor that we've been working with that's going to do essentially kind of a broad gift card program that will be redeemable at many businesses. So it will redeem like a debit card. And then there's some money that's been dedicated to a match for that. So until we've got about $3,000 of matching money. So until that runs out, if you purchase a gift card through this program, which you can then redeem at many downtown businesses, a $25 purchase will get you an additional $10 of credit. So then that every $25 that you spend will increase that extra little bonus that you get. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's a great way for people to explore some businesses downtown that they might not have had a chance to explore downtown. I think we have a tendency to go, to our one or two favorite places and then kind of, walk past storefronts without really seeing them because we're focused on our mission. And this will kind of give people an opportunity to check out some new businesses that they might then become excited customers of. So I think that's great. We've got a few more days before the deadline is up on that. So hopefully we'll even get a few more businesses signed up for that to make it even more valuable. Very exciting. I feel like I had another comment. I'm so bad about taking notes for these things. The House bill thing kind of consumed my brain coming into this meeting, but we'll leave it for now. And I'll take better notes for next time.
Thank you. One more thing on my comments. I just want to put it out there, and I don't know if this is possible, but MEDC is doing some grants as well for small businesses. Application opens on the 15th of December. I got sent a link from the governor's office on this. George, if I forward that along, can we try to push it out to our local businesses as well as an
Certainly.
opportunity?
We can have economic development pass it out.
Okay, great. Thanks. George, did you have anything that you wanted to update us on?
No, I just along the lines of COVID-19, we put out a press release today informing citizens that likely City Hall will be closed till after the holidays. With people traveling in the holidays and this creeping deadline from the governor, we're trying to give our staff an opportunity to plan, and also our residents. So I would expect that City Hall likely won't be opening until January unless things change positively. Of course, that could also be stretched out depending on COVID, with the hospitals being as stressed as they are, unfortunately.
Yeah, certainly. And all those frontline workers right now are really going through it too. And they have certainly been doing that since this all started. So, so our next item on our agenda is discussion items 5.1, a presentation by Capital Area Housing Partnership. And I am trying to move my laptop over so I can see it. George, who do we have on for this?
We got Tom Fehrenbach to kick it off, and then CAHP to do the presentation.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, Council. I think we have Emma Henry and Raleigh on with us. I think they're under the Emma Henry. But it's my pleasure to introduce both Emma and Raleigh to you. CAHP is a strong partner with the City of East Lansing, and we have a really great relationship, and they help us with many programs. They're going to give you an overview of those programs tonight, and then talk about some of the new stuff that both we and they are working on. So without further ado, Raleigh and Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Mayor and members of Council. And unfortunately, you won't be able to see Emma and I on video tonight as we are joined in our conference room and socially distancing this presentation. So unfortunately video, but I believe we have a presentation. I've told Emily we'll have that queued up. Thank you, Emily. And this should have been included in your packet as well today. We certainly always appreciate the opportunity to come speak with members of the East Lansing community, and certainly yourself as council members, knowing a handful of you are new to East Lansing Council. And so we're excited to share about the work we do here at the Housing Partnership in our extensive partnership with the City of East Lansing. As Tom introduced, I'm Raleigh Van Fossen, the Executive Director, and I'm joined here with Emma Henry, my Assistant Director, and you can go to the next slide. Over the course of the next 10 to 15 minutes, we will be going over just a general overview of our programs. Emily, thank you. Some of our East Lansing specific programs, including some COVID response, as well as some hopeful upcoming programs. Emily, you can go to the third slide. If you're not familiar with the Housing Partnership, we've been here in the community since 1992 with the mission to develop strong and diverse neighborhoods. And we take that mission and we focus it specifically on housing, and that's quality, affordable housing, as well as safe housing. And that mission is broadened to include homeownership opportunities, as well as the financial literacy skills that it takes to be a successful homeowner or a renter here in our community. You can go to the next slide. What does that story look like for us? Over the course of the last 28 years, we certainly have grown from our original inception in 1992 as a subcommittee of East Lansing Council. We were founded as East Lansing Neighborhood Services. If you've been here in the community for that long, you may remember the name. And it was a group of concerned citizens in the Bailey neighborhood who wanted to ensure that the historic integrity of that neighborhood, along with the owner occupancy side of what homeownership looks like in the Bailey neighborhood, were protected. And those groups of citizens came together and worked with council to form the East Lansing Neighborhood Services. Over time, it quickly became true that a volunteer board needed additional resources to truly fulfill that mission and that goal of ensuring successful homeownership and owner occupancy within East Lansing neighborhoods. It was at that time that they became an independent organization from East Lansing Council and were founded as Hometown Housing Partnership. Fast forward years later, as Hometown Housing Partnership grew, both staff, board-wise, and really service-wise of where we in our mission was reaching members of the community, we saw a need to grow beyond just serving East Lansing residents. We saw a need in the greater Ingham County. We saw a need in our adjacent neighbors at the city of Lansing, as well as some of the out-county communities here in Eaton and Clinton. It's at that time that we merged with a similar like-minded group, Franklin Street Community Housing, and became Capital Area Housing Partnership, and we remain under that name here today. You can go to the next slide. So as a housing partnership, a nonprofit here working in the community that's specifically focused on housing issues, we pride ourselves in some of the accreditations that we've been successful in receiving from many of our partners here. And that includes partners like yourself at the City of East Lansing, and it includes partners at the state level with the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, and partners at the federal level with the Department of Housing and Urban Development. We've been successful to maintain an accreditation as your local community housing development organization. And what that means is that's an accreditation offered by HUD, the federal government, to us that entitles us to certain grant dollars that we're able to repurpose and utilize here in your community specific to meet the housing needs. It's an extensive accreditation process that we go through annually. It requires certain level of board of director participation. It requires a review of our mission statement as well as the programs we're offering. Additionally, HUD has recently awarded us the accreditation this past year as Ingham County's only HUD certified housing counseling agency. What that means as a housing counseling agency is it's just another toolbox in the amount of programs and services we're able to offer residents in the community and neighbors who may walk through our doors. As a certified housing counseling agency, you know that when you walk and meet with one of our staff members, you're meeting with folks who are experts in the housing field and remain and continue their education to be on top of any changes at the federal or state level when it comes to housing policies. Additional programs that we offer that I'm happy to go into further in depth as the presentation goes on, but our financial education workshops. We offer a tool lending library that can come along with a mobile tool truck. We do hands-on DIY do-it-yourself style home improvement workshops. Our Tuesday Toolman program is one of our most notable programs that's out in the community almost every Tuesday of the year, building handicap accessibility, entryway and exitway ramps for seniors in need, as well as our housing development program with single family and multifamily development, and then a variety of housing assistance programs that help bridge that gap to home ownership or successful rentership. You can go to the next slide. But certainly Emma and I do not do all of this work alone, and we're happy to work alongside and under the direction of our board of directors. And I focus this slide here today because, again, we were founded as an organization based and housed here in East Lansing. And when we wrote our bylaws, and as we grew up and changed names a handful of times and landed on the housing partnership, we wanted to ensure that we stuck with our roots. Out of the 15 board seats that we have available, we reserve 4 of those seats to East Lansing neighborhood representatives. We reserve 3 of those seats to Lansing neighborhood representatives. And then we have 8 seats reserved for at-large members of the community, whether they're from East Lansing or anywhere in our service area of mid-Michigan. Additionally, we reserve a liaison seat for City of East Lansing staff that is approved or is recommended by the city manager and approved by East Lansing Council. You can go to the next slide. What you're looking on your screen is every year, we do a July through June fiscal year. And so every summer we publish our annual highlights. And so what you're looking at is our impact from the last fiscal year. I'm not going to go through every line item, but some of the key items we point out as a success rate for us is we were pleased to say we served over 2,100 residents here in our service area. What that includes is folks who are working and renting in over 300 of our affordable rental units, almost 600 folks who've participated and have met with a housing counselor, over 100 folks who've participated and rented a tool from our tool lending library, or even those 50 plus folks who attended one of our in-person workshops. It's these types of impacts that make us proud with the work we do because it affects your everyday life, whether that's the health and safety of you and your family, whether it's the children living at one of our multifamily family sites and are able to ensure that they have a place to call home after school, whether it's building those basic principles within financial literacy to ensure you are on budget and staying on budget to be a successful homeowner or renter, or it's the impact that our development efforts and our educational efforts are having with our partners and stakeholders across our local economy here in mid-Michigan. You can go to the next slide. I'm going to pass the mic over. These next few slides are going to be specific programs that are offered by the Housing Partnership in partnership with the City of East Lansing. And so I'll have Emma Henry talk to us about a few of those programs.
Good evening, Council. The Employee Homeownership Program is one of our favorite programs here because it directly benefits employees of the City of East Lansing. This program has been around since 1997, and it provides up to $10,000 per employee towards the down payment on a purchase of a home in target neighborhoods in East Lansing. These neighborhoods were specifically selected to be walkable to the downtown core so that employees of the city would be able to use all of the amenities that East Lansing has to offer. This program has also been in partnership with Michigan State University in past years, and recently we've added Neogen as another employer that offers this program to their employees. One interesting thing is we require homebuyer education for all of the applicants that use this program to make sure that they truly understand what they're getting into as they purchase a home. And we've had 33 completed to date. So this is definitely a program that's highly utilized. You can go to the next slide. Our next program that we'd like to talk about is the Homeownership Opportunity Assistance Program, which we call HOPE for short. This one is a landmark program that CAHP has offered since 1994, which is almost from the very beginning of our organization. This one is limited to income qualified homebuyers at or below 80% of our area median income, which in our area is about $45,000 for a family of one. This one provides up to $20,000 in down payment assistance, which is definitely needed in these times, but there's also a benefit of the $5,000 in code compliance repairs. So these would be repairs like adding smoke alarms or ground fault interrupter plugs to make sure that you are not popping any breakers in your home, handrails for safety, some of those items that might not be included when you purchase a home, but definitely need to be upgraded to make sure that your family is safe. This program comes with a 30-year owner occupancy covenant, which restricts the home from being used as a rental for 30 years. If the home is sold, that owner occupancy covenant stays on the property. And this is one of the big ways that we've made an impact in the rental versus ownership balance in East Lansing. As you can see, 92 of these have been completed in the last, since 1994. And so we have made an impact all over the city with this program. We can go to the next slide. This is the homeowner rehab program. So this program is for homeowners that have lived in their home for at least 1 year and would like to make some repairs to improve their living situation. So up to $25,000 in assistance is available, and this is required to be used for code compliance repairs, lead-based paint, and major mechanical systems, furnaces, water heaters, roofs, those big ticket items that families might not be able to afford. This program can be used all over the city and also comes with a 30-year owner occupancy covenant. This one is one of our newer programs that's only been around since 2012, but we've had 14 completed to date, so it's been a very popular program. We actually have one wrapping up probably next week here and some very happy homeowners that we will be proud to show off. We can go to the next slide.
Thanks, Emma. Included in some of those specific programs that we offer here to East Lansing residents in your partnership, we've been fortunate enough to, on the development side of the work we do here at the Housing Partnership, build brand new opportunities for neighbors here in our East Lansing community and across mid-Michigan. We're proud to share that since our inception, the Housing Partnership, along with our partners, as you can see listed here on this slide, have been allowed and able to touch over 300 single-family homes. That's homes that have either been built brand new from the ground up or homes that were previously vacant that we came in and were successful in renovating and reselling those homes. The example you're looking at is one of our newer homes that was completed last year and sold last year there in the Wolf Court neighborhood. We were fortunate and blessed to have received a property donated to us from a previous, the Alexander family, Bob Alexander, who has passed. And in his memory, his family donated the property to the housing partnership, and we were able to demolish the home that previously stood there. And it was such a large enough lot that we were able to split that property into two and partner with the city of East Lansing as well as the Michigan State Housing Development Authority and completely build brand new 2 homes. You're seeing one of those on your screen today. What makes our single family opportunities unique here in mid-Michigan is not just the care and time taken into the design of the home, but it's ultimately the features then that the new homeowner is left and is allowed to grow and nourish within. Those are the energy efficiency features to ensure that utility bills are at the lowest costs that we and construction design at its current time can offer. It's, as you see, if you can tell in the picture, all of our newly constructed homes are designed with what we call a visitable entryway. That's a entryway, or a wheelchair accessibility ramp is another term you'll see. That way, not only can visitors of friends and family who may be chair-bound are able to safely access your home, but it also allows you as a family in that home to age in place. Certainly things happen, whether kids maybe break an ankle, break a leg at sports and so forth. Times change, and we want to assure that these homes can be adaptable to those families' unique needs. Our single family development efforts, like many of the specific assistance programs we offer, come with an owner occupancy covenant as well. That's to ensure that the federal funding and local funding that was put into these homes isn't lost a year later by the homeowner selling the property or trying to obtain a rental license. And so we ensure that these properties are owner occupied for 30 years post-sale. You can go to the next slide. Continuing within our single family development efforts, you'll see some homes here on Avondale Square project, which we were a partner in, and were successful in completing a handful of homes that have now since been sold in that neighborhood. Some of the items I've mentioned, like the energy efficient and the visitability entry ramp, you heard me previous slide. But it's also key to point out when folks hear that we're doing affordable housing, you know, we try to break down some of the misconceptions of what does that mean? Is it low income housing? Is it housing at a reduced value? And our answers to all of that is no. It is the same type of housing that your neighbor who may not be buying a housing partnership home is going after as well. We work with licensed realtors from the Greater Lansing Association of Realtors. We work with licensed mortgage lenders here in the community, as well as appraisers to ensure that these properties are sold at its appraised value. Because while certainly we're looking to provide an opportunity for that new family, we want to ensure that we're also supporting efforts in the greater neighborhood, those properties directly adjacent from where we're building. And by selling at that appraised value, we're working to ensure property values in the surrounding area are either maintained, if not improved. And we all know that what more property taxes can offer a local unit of government is hopefully better and more services ultimately to its residents. You can go to the next slide. But we saw a need, an unmet need outside of just single family. And it was in the year of 2012 where our board of directors took a leap of faith and began a partnership in multifamily development. When I say multifamily development, I'm talking about apartment style development, a more urban dense type of living outside of a traditional single family home. And it was a need that we saw greatly here, not just in the East Lansing community, but across mid-Michigan. But we were happy to partner with Hollander Development in 2012 with the rehabilitation and renovation of what is now Deer Path Apartments over at Park Lake and Hazlitt on your way over to the newly built Costco. Since 2012, CAHP has partnered and now is a part of an ownership of over 9 multifamily properties here in Ingham County, and that equates to over 450 rental units. Out of those 9 properties, 2 of them do reside within city limits, the newest of our portfolio being the Bailey Center, which is featured here on the slide. Those partnerships couldn't be successful, certainly without the city of East Lansing and other stakeholders in our community, but it's these type of opportunities is creating yet another living experience, whether that's for Deer Path, where it's a income-based restricted property for families. It's offering townhome style living, or it's different and it could be like the Bailey Center where it's offering dense living opportunities close to the downtown, walkable for seniors in our community over the age of 55. You can go to the next slide. Those specific properties, like I mentioned, may be restricted either to families or seniors, but that need has continued to grow. We have properties that are restricted to individuals who may have had struggled with a past of homelessness, may have struggled with domestic violence in their life, and so on. And it's ensuring that everybody, we truly and strongly believe here that everybody has a right to safe, quality, and affordable housing, and that can't be solidified with just single family. And that is why multifamily in more recent time has been a part of our mission to create and provide here in the community. You can go to the next slide. Certainly, we couldn't leave today's presentation with talking about the obvious that 2020 has faced us here in our community, which is the COVID-19 pandemic. When in March, really February and March, when news about COVID-19 became more publicly aware to members across the country about its impact that it is having and continues to have as a community, we at the Housing Partnership huddled together to figure out what is our response going to look like. We worked closely with partners across our Continuum of Care Collaborative, whether that be Holy Cross Ministries, Advent House, City Rescue Mission, the City of East Lansing, and so forth, to create what is still referred to as the Mid-Michigan Housing Resource Guide. It's an electronic and printable guide available on our website or in print, updated every Monday, that is trying to take all of the different COVID-19 specific offerings as it relates to housing and create and put it into a one-stop shop style of resources. And so we continue to update that, as I mentioned, weekly. But we knew as time went on that it was, our assistance and our efforts are going to go beyond just providing a resource guide of where to find the nearest food bank or how to potentially get into a forbearance with your mortgage. We knew that families and individuals in our community were hurting, whether that's a loss of income or some other type of hardship that their household is experiencing. And that drew a need for direct financial assistance to be offered. We're all familiar. We all received a $1,200 stimulus check, which certainly was helpful to many. But again, that need is much greater than just that one stimulus check. The City of East Lansing, like many communities across the country, were fortunate enough to receive Coronavirus Community Development Block Grant money to offer resources to help meet that need. We've partnered with the planning and development staff and have since launched in August an East Lansing COVID-19 rent and mortgage assistance program. That program is still active today. There is still money left to administer to families or individuals. Certainly if you're a member of the public listening to tonight's call and you or somebody you know is facing a financial hardship as it relates to your household bills, I encourage you to reach out. That's the number one message we're trying to circulate amongst the members of our community, is that you do not have to walk this path alone. Being in a point of hardships or a point of poverty is a very narrow place to be. And we try to offer and extend some help and potentially just somebody to bounce ideas off with. So specific to the pandemic relief program that we're partnering with you to administer is some quick facts. It can affect and assist arrearages from March 1, 2020 to present. You do have to prove a COVID hardship. As of today, we can assist with up to 6 months of assistance of back rent or back mortgage payments, or $5,000, whichever gets maxed out first. To date, and this numbers were pulled last week when you received the presentation, we've assisted over 22 households. That's equivalent to over $30,000, as you see. And we currently have 7 pending applications in the queue to get paid. We've run some initial demographics. This helps us with a variety of methods as we're in the program. It helps us determine, is our outreach getting to the members of the community who it needs to be? Are we getting feedback? Are we seeing results coming in? And so far, the average arrearage that we're seeing from members of the East Lansing community is 1 month. We're seeing that a majority of our applicants is a male head of household. And we're seeing that so far a majority of the applicants for the East Lansing assistance are identifying as Black or African American. What's not detailed on this slide is some of the greater assistance in the remainder of Ingham County. You may have heard greatly about the eviction diversion program that the Michigan State Housing Development Authority has offered counties across the state of Michigan. The Housing Partnership is proud to be partnering with Holy Cross and Advent House Ministries and delivering the eviction diversion program for Ingham County. We're doing that alongside this type of assistance as well. And I wanted to share that to date, that eviction diversion program has helped over 800 families in Ingham County with nearly $2.9 million of rent assistance. Why that's important to share is that money will no longer be available as of December 30th, 2020. Your money will continue into the new year of 2021. And it's going to become inevitable for members of the East Lansing community who are facing those potential financial hardships that this is going to be the assistance that's available to them. As of today, we're not seeing any additional indication at the state or federal level for more broad type of assistance being offered. And so we're fortunate that members of the East Lansing community, including yourself at the council level, took the initial initiative in the summer of 2020 to put this program out here in the community. You can go to the next slide. Chesterfield Hills, converting class 3 and 4 rental licenses to owner occupied. This is a newer conversation that the Housing Partnership is engaged with Tom and the team in planning and development, as well as certainly council is going to be involved in these conversations. And I wanted to kind of give some highlights to where our thoughts are at this point. If you're not familiar with this conversation, there are dollars available from previous year's projects set aside to help directly with this effort of converting those rental licenses to future owner occupancy. Some of the initial plans that we're considering at the Housing Partnership to present to the city would be looking at the class 3 and 4 rental license that are within the Chesterfield Hills neighborhood. And it's just about 19 rental licenses that meet those types of classifications, and seeing out of those 19, who and which ones would be interested and able to convert to an owner occupancy. So I kind of put a proposed plan of what that could look like. The Housing Partnership would come in as the entity to acquire the rental property, meaning we would approach the landlord if the property is currently for sale. If it is not for sale, we certainly could still approach the landlord to see if there is interest. We all probably saw the news within the last week that Michigan State University announced that sophomores of the new year will have to continue living on campus. I'm sure we're all anxiously awaiting to see how that's going to affect the student rental market in the city side of the community. If we are fortunate to acquire any of those rental properties, we would then be able to, as the owner, forgive the license, turn it back over to the city, and that would achieve that initial goal of the program in converting of either that class 3 or 4. The point of, though, after, certainly CAHP's goal wouldn't be to own those properties long-term. So we would look to this pot of money that's set aside for this neighborhood to see if any of those dollars could be used to address any type of repairs that may be needed to the home. We have to remember that these homes are currently designed as rentals, almost likely student rentals. And you can imagine a student rental may not be the same type of home that you as a family or individual would want to move into as something you're going to call your forever home. I remember my time at Michigan State University, every single piece of the rental that I lived in on Virginia Avenue was painted the same beige color, everything, the door, the trim, the walls, the ceiling. Certainly something like that may not be appealing to a new homeowner. So the Housing Partnership would be able to pull on some of the resources available to help bring in a breath of fresh air to some of these homes, and then relist the home for sale to a family that would then move in and would be required to accept an owner occupancy covenant. That way we would ensure that for at least a minimum of 30 years, that home would not be able to apply and receive a rental license. If the home doesn't need repairs, or maybe there's a combination of repairs and other, we would be able to hopefully pull on some of those funds that are available for this neighborhood to help bridge that gap of what it takes to buy a home in our community. And that's where down payment assistance can come in. Again, we would work to relist those homes for sale and sell. We would also, though, have an opportunity if there's a homeowner directly interested in buying some of these homes to make those partnerships happen. You know, the housing partnership, we're not settled on the fact that we have to be the entity to buy those homes. Certainly, if there's an interested party and there's a landlord willing to sell the property, we can help manage that process as well. You can go to the next slide. And then finally, what we're working on moving forward. I like to share this. Certainly, not only does the council and the city of East Lansing have an interest in stake in the work we're doing, but for the greater community to understand that we're an ever-growing organization with an ever-growing mission. And that's key in that we're working on planning forward. You've caught us in a moment where our 5-year strategic plan has since expired. And so our board of directors at the beginning of 2021 will be going under an exercise to update our 5-year plan to help direct our mission work for the next 5 years. And that includes looking at a regional housing assessment to really understand the needs of the greater Mid-Michigan community when it comes to diverse, affordable housing opportunities, as well as looking to increase sustainability of the programs we already have and the operations we have here as a nonprofit functioning in the community. It means we're going to be working on production. We know that we lack quality, affordable housing still today in our community. There are not enough houses or rental apartments that are affordable and quality for members of our community to call home. If you talk to any realtor right now, they'll tell you that the amount of buyers that are actively searching a home almost triple the amount of homes that are actually for sale in our community. That drives us with the work we do here to create more of those opportunities. And finally, it's sharing our story. It's ensuring that we're raising awareness about the work we're doing here at the Housing Partnership, the types of folks and families that we're trying to assist, and the programs that make that possible. You've heard me say a couple times today, and I continue to say it, that it's a right we believe that everybody and every member of our community have access to those opportunities. You can go to the next slide. And so that's a brief overview of some of the work we're doing here at the community or at the Capital Area Housing Partnership. Where we're at now, you know, in COVID, we're certainly trying to work remote. In the last 2 years, we've moved our headquarters to the Neighborhood Empowerment Center in the city of Lansing at the former Michigan School for the Blind. That's where you would find us on a day-to-day basis. But we continue to ensure our work in East Lansing and greater communities is still out there. So that ensures regular staff visits to those properties. It ensures that we're offering programs at some of those buildings, whether that's the performance arts space at the Bailey Community Center, or that's in the clubhouse at Deer Path Apartments and so forth. I have our contact information up there for you. I've been in touch with many of you in the past, and you have my contact information, but Emma and I are going to continue to stay on because if there are questions, we'd be happy to engage in some of that. And otherwise, that does complete our presentation.
Thank you very much. Emily, would you mind taking the presentation off the screen? Thank you. And thank you for being here, Raleigh and Emma. Do folks have questions? I know I have a couple of comments. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I did have a question. I guess I wasn't aware of many of the things that you were doing, so that was great to get that overview. One of the things that I wasn't familiar with or I didn't know was quite as much of your service was the home improvement loans. That's something that when I was knocking doors when I was campaigning, I was really impressed, but not in a good way, kind of like shocked, I guess, to see how many elderly people we had aging in homes that were just not handicapped accessible or really appropriate for people who were of reduced mobility and reduced health. And so I was just wondering how you are reaching populations to let them know about those loans. I think we've got a lot of people that could make use of our community and might not know how to apply.
Sure, that's a great question. And you know, it gets into some of the technical aspects of the program and it comes down to funding. I think the answer to that question is, you know, there's the type of funding that is utilized within this program is community development block grant dollars that the city of East Lansing as the participating jurisdiction receives annually from HUD. Unfortunately, in years past, the CDBG allocations that the city has received, this program hasn't necessarily received previous commitments that years past have allowed. And that's because the needs in the community change. And so what we rely on with the rehab program is if that at the city level, we're not investing new program dollars every year, then we rely on the previous year's awarded programs. It's almost like a revolving door, meaning if we assisted your house, let's say Councilman Gregg, and you chose to move out 5 years later, you know, you may have money that you received in that rehab loan to pay the city back because there's an affordability period that you as the client agree to. And so as that money gets paid back, the city's then able to offer it back to the housing partnership to reinvest then to that new person. And I'm walking you through this process because that means, you know, every year we have generally about enough money to do one, if not maybe two rehab projects alone. And so that circles back to how we do our outreach and marketing. If I did a mailer to all city, you know, all of the eligible neighborhoods, certainly we may get 15 or 20 folks who would be interested, yet I only have enough to do the one. And so the marketing behind this program hasn't been as heavily invested because of that fact. But we're excited that this year has allowed us to expand that and do one. We're on track with the way current program funding is to offer in 2021 an additional homeowner rehab project. So again, we'll be looking for a qualified homeowner at that time.
Is there a waiting list or something that people can join to?
There is, yep. And so certainly folks are encouraged, if you know of folks in the community or constituents in the community, I would encourage them to contact. Emma is the program contact for that. We have an application that they would fill out. And again, if we don't have funds available at this time, they would be put on that wait list. Once you're on that wait list and program funding does become available, if we have a wait list at that time, we do go through that wait list first.
Excellent, appreciate it, thanks.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, as you're building out your 5-year strategic plan, do you already have an idea some of what the priorities are in that 5 years? And then are there additional sources of funding that maybe are out there to allow you to, you know, do more of what you do?
Yes, yes and no. Part of the exercise is certainly I have ideas in the role I'm at, but want to work alongside the members of our board. And part of that strategic plan, we work with stakeholders in our community. So there will be a point in time in that exercise where the city of East Lansing would be approached to work alongside us and assure that our 5-year update is aligned with goals of the city of East Lansing. But I think some of the heavy hitter items we know today is the fact that we need more housing opportunities. Like I mentioned in the presentation, we know for a fact today that there are more buyers in the market than there are homes available. We know for a fact today that the cost to afford a 2-bedroom apartment, it requires a household to earn more than $25 an hour. We know that those good jobs are not there present in our community. And so we want to push at the housing partnership. How do we assert ourselves in those, you know, maybe non-traditional housing conversations? We know that in the field of healthcare, that housing is more and more becoming important to the health and safety of one's home. Again, where and how do we position ourselves in those conversations with some of our medical professionals in the field? And so it's some of those areas that I will be asking the board and our stakeholders to look at and try to align where they want to see the partnership go. And then I think going through that exercise will hopefully open the doors to new funding opportunities. When I came into my role here at the partnership, I worked to really push this organization to not be resilient on just one source. You know, we can't rely on East Lansing and CDBG for everything, nor can we rely on the city of Lansing and their CDBG dollars as well. Those are very influx money, and certainly who's ever in control in DC has a lot of sway in some of that. We've noticed that the last few years. And so we have to work hard to expand that and not rely on some of those federal and state dollars. And that means getting the word out to members of the community more, growing our private donations and growing that type level of support so that in moments and years where some of those grant dollars may not be available, we can still get some of these services out there.
Are there private dollars on like on the endowment side, or how does private dollars apply?
It depends. You know, in Michigan, As much as I love mid-Michigan, we are not Grand Rapids or the city of Detroit in the level of philanthropic opportunities that those communities offer. You know, you look at those communities and the amount of foundations they have, at least 5, if not more, major foundations. You know, Lansing has 1. We have the Capital Region Community Foundation. And so it does create a strain. And, you know, how I look at though in a positive manner is that then, you know, you look at the city of Detroit and Grand Rapids and they'll have 6, 8, 10 housing partnership organizations that exist. And so how I look back at it, at the work we're doing here at the Capital Area Partnership is to really strive to be then that one-stop shop for the mid-Michigan community. Because financially, when it comes to foundation dollars, there may not be dollars in the community to support multiple organizations like ourselves. So how do we ensure then that we have the capacity and the sustainability to meet that need? But that requires us to be creative. And certainly I don't stop asking for those opportunities to come present to our community. But those are just some of the facts of life that we face here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Go ahead, Dana, and then George.
Hey, Raleigh and Emma, how are you guys doing?
Hi.
Good. I just wanted to first state my picture for the board of directors. Raleigh and I started meeting in early 2020. And so by the time I was on the board and we were talking about pictures, we were all down. And so I just had to send one of my random pictures, which as many can see, I don't have a lot of them. So anyway, my questions are, so the houses in Chesterfield, will like a percentage be available for low to moderate income people? Or how does that work out?
So I definitely know that comment is on the discussion table with city staff and ourselves. Certainly on both ends of the table, it has come up as a key factor to look at. Speaking on behalf of the housing partnership, you know, that gets to our mission. And I have to assure that, you know, the work and programs we do are striving and meet some sort of affordability test. However, the traditional affordability test you see us is what the government aligns that at, and that's at this point broadly that 80% area median income. And as Emma indicated, for a household size of 1, that's somebody who earns less than $44,950. With these dollars, you know, we can look at that and maybe grow that income test a little bit higher, and potentially go to 100% of the area median income, if not above. And so I think in the recommendations you're going to see from the housing partnership is that there will be some level of income test, maybe not in every transaction that's offered, but certainly any though that may include down payment assistance or any type of upgrades to the home. That way, you know, with the work we're doing, we're ensuring that the type of family who's given that opportunity is truly a family in need.
Okay, thank you. Do you guys keep track of like what the average amount of time a homeowner stays in their home, like for the city of East Lansing? Like and it's around the covenant for, you know, 30 years. Does that match up to how long people in our area will stay in their home after they buy?
It's data we have. I can't say it's data I have in front of me, so I wouldn't quote me on specifics, but I can tell you the answer is no. I know for certain that the time folks are spending in their home does not align to the length of the covenant. And I mean, a 30-year covenant is a fairly long time for somebody, especially with a lot of the homes we're doing, maybe their first home, their starter home. And so a 3-bedroom home for the first 5 years may work, but when their young kids start to grow up, and maybe if they were sharing a room with the brother and sister by the time they're 10, 11, et cetera, you know, the family may want to offer them their own rooms. And so that's when we start to see families leave our homes. But what's important to remember about those covenants is it doesn't leave with that homeowner. It stays with the property. And so if you bought a housing partnership home and the covenant was for 30 years, you left after 10, it means then that new homeowner coming in will still have to abide by that covenant for the remaining 20 years.
Okay. But it is possible for us to, maybe because sometimes people get 15-year mortgages.
Yeah.
Is it possible for us to chop it to 15-year instead
is.
of 30.
And it is, and I think that's why some of the programs operate with that 15-year. And I will say, with regards to the covenant, at any time, whether that's prior to closing on the home, if not after, that homeowner, there's a clause within the covenant that they can approach the Housing Partnerships Board of Director and ask for it to be forgiven for whatever reason that they may want to present themselves. And certainly some of this backup data of that length of time versus when they bought the home, we can follow up with city staff and have that presented at a later meeting.
Great. George?
Just to mention, I think this is a really timely discussion, obviously, with the news from MSU about housing changes with sophomores coming back on campus. I think it presents an opportunity for us. One of the programs I've been really supportive of has been the EHOP program. It helps city employees buy houses, deed restrict them in near neighborhoods. And it also, something we were able to partner with the university, and they participated for a number of years. More recently, they had to back out of that, but I'm hoping that they'll see that it's a competitive advantage to be able to have employees recruited to the area, live near downtown, walk to work. There's that green element to it. And hopefully as we recruit other employers near downtown, whether it's TechSmith, whether it's MSU FCU or in the Citadel, that we can try to foster those types of project relationships where we encourage people to buy houses in near neighborhoods and be able to facilitate home ownership and that sort of walking pedestrian activity of, stabilizing neighborhoods, diversifying the downtown and having people have that green sense where people can walk or bike to work. So I think there's a lot of opportunities here to continue that partnership and make it stronger as we sort of move away from maybe having quite as many students near the downtown, potentially.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Babcock?
Thank you. Mr. Van Fossen, are you familiar with what Sparrow Hospital did near its building in Lansing, near Eastern High School in Pattonville years ago?
I am, yep.
Okay. That, because I grew up in that area and I know the area quite well. I would really like to see us do something like that, perhaps with MSU FCU moving downtown. So it's good to know that you're familiar with that. I know who to tap when I have more specific questions.
Sure.
Do you have any ideas about how we could pursue that? I'm sure we're all receptive, but you're certainly welcome to contact me individually if you'd like.
Certainly. And I'll say just in general, and this partially connects back to George's prior comments, is that if I had an opportunity to ask you all a question, it would be where you could be most helpful to our work is not just being supportive and letting the community know of the programs, but it's really driving to some of those bigger stakeholders like Sparrow or some of the other employers looking to open up shop here in the community to really look at what does housing mean for them and their employees. And if not their employees, the folks who have to live nearby their company. And I think that's a task that East Lansing has worked on. And I think there are areas you've excelled in, certainly with the 1% art requirement for development, certainly the senior requirement for developments. Those are requirements that me as a developer in your downtown area with the Bailey Center have had to adhere by. I think those are great tools to make people rethink some of their approaches to the work instead of just them coming into town and building the new skyscraper or building the new student housing development, but to truly think long-term about those impacts, because they may quickly leave and go back to their headquarters, but we all know that that building stays much longer.
Right. Absolutely. So I have kind of one question and then just some general comments. The Chesterfield Hills work is fairly interesting to me. I'd definitely like to hear more on that. Obviously, when it comes to some sort of, outline plan. One thing that I've always thought is just the idea of converting, these rental licenses back to owner occupied houses has always been something that comes at a fairly significant cost. And one area that I think that we lack in this city in terms of housing is affordable rental housing that isn't for students. Affordable rental housing that is for students as well, but certainly recent graduates, folks that work in the city that can't afford to live in the city. We have a lot of neighborhood covenants as well that put restrictions on rental properties within those neighborhoods. It's difficult to find housing in a city, in the city of East Lansing, if you want to rent, and you are, not necessarily a student or not sharing that load with, let's say, 4 people that are living in the apartment with you. So, I'd be interested to see if there's any input that there could be given from Capital Area Housing Partnership, especially when it comes to like this Chesterfield Hills program on, affordable rental housing that is targeted more towards those individuals that are working within the city but might not be able to afford to live in the city, because I think that's important too. And so that's just, it really wasn't a question, but it's more of a general comment. So
Appreciate it.
And then in general, I appreciate all the work that Capital Area Housing Partnership does. Really an incredible resource in this area, both on a personal level and in a professional level. I have, reached out to Capital Area Housing Partnership, whether it's to help me find somebody that needs housing, an affordable place to live, or it's just information on COVID relief. So all of this is really good work. I appreciate staff members that work with them regularly, and Raleigh, you and your team are doing incredible. So thank you for everything you do.
Appreciate it, Mayor.
Great. Mr. Fehrenbach, did we have anything else on this?
No, just to say that, representation from staff is really led by Amy Schlesler-Schmidt, who works really closely on the programming elements that CAHP produces for us. And then also Annette Irwin, our housing and university relations administrator for the city, who is our staff liaison on the board, and also works very closely with Raleigh and Emma, and is spearheading the Chesterfield Hills project, which we hope to have for the council's consideration early in the new year. And we're also hopeful that through that project, we'll be able to glean insights that then we can use to create other programs to benefit other areas of the city.
Thank you, Mr. Fehrenbach, and certainly thank you to Amy and Annette for all of their work. All right. Thank you very much, Raleigh, Emma, everybody for being here, Mr. Fehrenbach. And we will move on to our next item, which is COVID-19 business support updates. And if I'm not mistaken, this is Adam Cummins.
Hello, good evening. Emily, am I able to share my screen? Let's go and press that button then.
I believe you should be able to, yes.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Adam Cummins, Community and Economic Development Administrator, the City of East Lansing. Me and our team just want to provide you guys with an update on activities that have occurred since the last time we gave an update to Council. I believe it was in November. A lot has happened since the last time we've spoke. And if you're seeing the screen, you are seeing a new web app that's in development. This is version 1. So as we go through this and you explore this app on your own, keep in mind that behind the scenes, we're going to be improving functionality and making updates as we go and as we collect feedback from stakeholders on improvements. So I'm just going to briefly take you on a stroll through the web app. The purpose of this web app is kind of to provide a one-stop shop of information for all things downtown East Lansing. And so we're going to really go heavy on promoting and marketing this web app and all the activities we're doing on this web app. So what you're seeing here is a map of all of our downtown businesses and a listing of them. And so again, version 1, this is version 1, and the next version, we're going to be able to separate, shop local versus dine local versus beauty and salon and professional services, stuff of that nature. We're trying to provide as much visibility to our downtown businesses as possible during this time. And we're also trying to, provide some education outreach on our parking opportunities and parking facilities in downtown East Lansing. hoping to get more people parking in our garages, using the garages that we have. So this is the main page, the homepage that everyone will be taken to with this information and inventory of the businesses. We're going to do features. We're working on the frequency of updating the features, whether that's going to be bi-weekly or monthly. But we want to feature, just make our rounds with the businesses in downtown and feature what they're up to, what they're doing, and the good things that they are doing. So this is the, again, homepage for the web app. It's interactive. You can zoom in. You'll be able to get directions straight from your phone to any restaurant or shop downtown. So from here, I'm going to take you to the COVID-19 recovery activities. And what we have here is we really want to engage the community in what we're up to, what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish, and get that information out there. And so we're just telling our story, what we're doing in response to COVID-19 downtown. Here you'll see we have the PLACE project. It's just a brief summary of what that PLACE project is. But then here we take you on a tour of the PLACE project. And again, this is all GIS based, it's interactive. And so we can actually take people on a tour in downtown East Lansing at each one of these locations. You've already seen locations, all the locations that we have planned. You can scroll through on each location site and kind of get before and after pictures, right? Again, we just want to keep people informed on what we're up to and why they should join us in this endeavor. So I did want to share with you guys our first install of outdoor furniture. Obviously, we've had a new round of public health orders come in, and those have been extended. And so this whole plan has been designed to be very flexible and adaptable because there are so many unknowns. And so that being said, our plans to pilot, the downtown underground farmers market and the Mac parking garage have been delayed, and they've been pushed back till February. So that being said, we've taken the equipment and furniture purchased for the Mac parking garage, and we've installed it in the pedestrian link, under the Newman lofts. And we're just trying to provide a comfortable, inviting environment for people to gather safely and hopefully shop and dine downtown. Here you'll see we're taking people on a tour of our branded curbside pickup only zones. Again, you can scroll through the pictures. We're just trying to get people familiar with each one of these locations, what they look like, how to go about doing the curbside only pickup zones. We've installed some in Valley Court, and now we're working on more installations throughout downtown. And so the signage for these additional locations has been ordered, and once it comes in, we will be installing that signage. Really quickly, I also wanted to take you to the COVID-19 safety measures. Again, we have a story to tell, and we're trying to tell that story to the East Lansing community. And here's kind of a one-stop shop for all things public health related, what we're doing to try to keep people safe during this time downtown. It has our mask requirement within the DDA. Let's see, it's got the Ingham County Health Department's gathering size limits. I'm not sure why the interactive map didn't pop up. Of course, that happens during a presentation. And then just, where we've installed all the mask required signs. It's got the MDHHS's gathering and face masks order. Just a one-stop shop for all things COVID-19 public health related on this page. And so from there, I want to take you back to COVID-19 recovery activities, what we're up to, and part of the PLACE project that we've been planning. And we have some programming updates to provide you with the East Lansing Downtown Underground Marketplace. And Heather Pope, are you on?
I am on. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Heather Pope is going to provide you with some updates on some programming that we have scheduled. So take it
Yes.
away, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
Sure. Yes. So we've been working with the community events department, specifically the farmers market staff team, along with some of the other programming staff for events. And we've scheduled out starting in February, on Sunday, February 14th, the pop-up market will have its first grand opening in the MAC parking garage. It'll take place again starting February 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It will take place every other Sunday. The last event will take place on May 9th, which is Mother's Day. We'll also be scheduling some campaigns. We're working on that right now of encouraging people to come downtown, wear their mask, take a picture of themselves wearing their mask, and they'll be put in for a drawing for some gift cards and some other gift certificates that can use at the downtown businesses and at the market itself. We've also been working with the East Lansing Public Library, and they've scheduled their first story time, which will take place on Tuesday, February 2nd. And so we have some preliminary layout to provide safe social distancing for the children to come down into story time. Maybe have some hot cocoa and coffee for the parents. The library will bring their mobile vehicle down there, and it will be parked at East Street Plaza. So when the attendees of the story time are leaving the market, they can go up and visit the mobile library. They also will be continuing to schedule some additional story time, and they would like to also have some schedule some activities where children can come in and do different activities, whether putting together a project or a craft. And again, this is again to get families out of their house, bring them down and where they feel they're in a safe environment. We're also working with our community events department. As you know, in the past, we've had Friday and Saturday night concert series during the summer months, and we've also had the children's concert series, which take place at Hannah Community Center in February. And so we're looking at doing acoustic children concert series down in the MEC parking garage. Again, those would take place throughout the week and on the weekends. And we're also looking at maybe bringing in some musicians just for some acoustic Friday and Saturday night concerts. Again, this would all be done with the certain layouts. We've been working with some different vendors with chairs set apart so people are safe. This will bring people to our downtown, and as they leave, we'll direct them to visit our other downtown businesses. The whole goal is to get more people in our downtown to create more foot traffic to support our downtown businesses.
Great, thanks, Heather. Really quickly, wanted to show you, I don't know if you recall, I believe I spoke about this last time, the art installations, the murals that went into Valley Court. Now we'll be able to really, highlight the artists and their art installations that are part of this project in a very creative way. As you can see, there's a news video of these artists and the art installation at Valley Court. And then I'm going to let Amy Schuessler-Schmidt talk about some of the art pop-up programming that we have being designed and getting ready to execute in the very near future. Amy, are you on?
I am. Thank you for having me. So as Adam mentioned, we are working on a strong partnership between the City of East Lansing, the East Lansing Public Schools, and the East Lansing Arts Commission. And currently, we are planning to host 3 different exhibits in the downtown. This is exciting because it also involves our downtown East Lansing businesses that will agree to host exhibit space, as I mentioned, for the 3 different art shows. The first exhibit will kick off on January 18th, and it will run from January 18th to February 26th. The second exhibit will be March 1st through April 16th, and the third exhibit is scheduled to begin April 19th and run through June 4th. During each exhibit, it will feature children's artwork, which I think holds probably a special place for everyone within the community. And the artwork will be provided through the East Lansing Public Schools. The hope is obviously that students and their families will come into the places of business that display the artwork safely, that those individuals can enjoy and see the artwork of themselves and some of their, fellow students. And then obviously support our downtown merchant community as a whole. So there will obviously be more information shared as this continues to launch, but we ask that everybody sort of pay attention to all of our City of East Lansing and obviously Downtown East Lansing social media accounts, and obviously certainly press releases that will go out, but we're excited about that partnership. So the other thing I wanted to share was information about the TikTok challenge. So I don't know how many of you have social media accounts, but TikTok is part of, a social platform. And the intent of this is to really engage a wide range of community members. And the way that this will work is that we will host a variety of challenges for several weeks. They are currently scheduled to kick off on January 15th. So again, the same day that we're going to launch the art exhibit information, the art exhibit displays, we're going to launch this TikTok challenge that'll hopefully create some excitement. I'm pleased to share that we are currently working on finalizing a partnership with Michigan State University, because I am certainly not a dance expert, but I applaud those that are. And so some Michigan State University professors and students are choreographing the first 2/3 of the dance. And then the intent is that people can sort of strike their own moves and kind of do the last third of the challenge with the new choreography that they come up with. The exciting thing, which I think I'm going to share more about in a couple of minutes, is that all of the winners are going to receive Downtown East Lansing e-gift cards, which is a brand new program that we're working on. So again, lots of information to be shown about this, but we think it'll be exciting and draw people to the downtown. The other major factor is that we're going to invite people to take the videos downtown. So obviously we want it in front of places of business, or perhaps, they'd like to be in Ann Street Plaza, but sort of visibility, again, to draw people into the downtown safely, not in big crowds, but encourage them to kind of strike their dance moves, strike their poses, and, just put images of Downtown East Lansing, throughout social media platforms. So we're excited about that.
That's an exciting one. I can't wait, Amy. I also, if you could touch on, I'm going to take you to the e-gift card program that you've been working really hard on.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, this is really exciting, I believe, for our entire merchant community. So on Friday, everybody please put a reminder on their calendars on Friday that they can go in and begin purchasing Downtown East Lansing e-gift cards. So really the difference between an e-gift card and a normal gift card that we're used to is that this gift card is going to be text to you or emailed to you directly. So if you lose it, it's not a big deal, which I really like because I have a 3-year-old at home. And so having that reminder is good for me. So what will happen is you can go in and you can purchase an e-gift card and you can use it at all participating locations. So let's pretend you go in and you buy a $100 gift card. Perhaps you go to one place of business and spend, $20 of that towards coffee. And then you go to a couple of retailers and, spend, $40 there. And then you go into a professional services place and get your hair cut, and spend the remaining balance there. So we think that that's really exciting. To date, we have 25 businesses that have registered to participate. A couple of them still need to finalize sort of activating their information online, but they've gotten several reminders from me. They're probably sick of me. They've heard from me every single day in the last week about this. So we're really excited to have them take part. You guys can expect to see press release information, again, information on our downtown social media efforts. I think that during this time of COVID, especially, people are really cognizant of supporting its local merchant community. And we really feel that this is an exceptional way to be able to do that. The Downtown Management Board really felt that way as well. And so they have provided $3,000 in specific funding to give additional promotions to individuals that purchase the gift cards. So what that means is when people go online on Friday and they decide to purchase, for example, a $25 gift card, they're going to get a $10 bonus gift card for free. If they buy $50 or more, they're going to get $20 or more for free. I'm sorry, $20 for free. And then if they buy $100 or more, they're going to receive a $40 gift card for free. I, as the buyer, can keep that for myself because, hey, I bought one and I treated somebody and now I keep it for myself, or you can gift it on. So you can give it to the original person. People can purchase up to 5 of those per email address because, again, you purchase them digitally. But again, we think that this will hopefully be extremely supportive during the holiday season. Right now, all the businesses are, located within the core downtown district, but I can tell you as staff, we are looking at expanding that out soon to offer it to more businesses throughout the city. So please, if there are businesses kind of listening to me and you haven't registered, we really encourage you to go online and do so. It is entirely free for our downtown businesses to take part. So as long as they already accept MasterCard, there is no fee for them to participate in this, which we also felt was really integral to this new program. And obviously for the consumer, it's a fun way to safely support our downtown business community.
So, sorry, if I could ask a question. You have a tab right here that says how it works. So I buy a gift card online, I have a code, and would I buy things through the app that is there, or would I be sent to a link, or is it like their online platform that it's like a promo code? Like what's the method by which?
Yeah, so when you go in, Mayor, and you say like buy e-gift card, for example, I think Adam can bring this up. So then you individually would type in like the recipient. So for example, Adam buys it for himself, it's going to send him to them, but then Yifty is going to send them a direct link to our East Lansing platform. We have a platform and it's going to list like the 25 businesses where you can spend the money. Some of the businesses, I believe they can set up their own merchant, how do I want to put this? Some of them can choose to set up if they would like their own Yifty, if you will, which is the e-gift card company portal, so that you could potentially buy some things online directly. Others, might not do that quite yet when we launch. And so you would then need to go into the business and spend the gift card in the place of business. But
just having the code, you'd still be able, like I ordered takeout food and I go and I pay and I just have that code. I'm paying for the food. Okay, great.
Yes. Yep. If that's your question. So let's pretend I go into Charlie King's. I've got my, cell phone. Here's my Yifty gift.
Not pretend. Let's get it for the council right now.
Yep. And then you just have the information on your phone. They code that in and you're paid for.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yep. And Amy, you've been working with the DMB on placing signage, correct? In the neighborhoods. I believe you guys are designing signage, which we are going to include a QR code to direct them to the app, which will direct them to the Yifty website, and it's all part of this Shop Local campaign.
Yes, so we are finalizing, as Adam just mentioned, some yard signs that basically just say a very simple messaging that say, support downtown merchants and support local businesses. And it's just going to have a link to the QR code that's going to link to this portal. And again, it's just, really the signs are going to be free initially for downtown residents to be able to place in their lawns. They're meant to be durable so that they will withstand the winter elements, obviously, because it's December out there. So we recognize that needs to be done. But hopefully, lots of residents will have interest in that. They will take them and then we can look at expanding that program also.
Great. Thanks, Amy. Yeah, so, we're working really hard to have like a multifaceted approach to solving these problems, these challenges that we've been encountering since COVID-19. And we're really trying to engage the permanent residents of East Lansing, engage them in the process and, design programming that's going to meet their needs. And so we're going to continue to plug away. Things are going to continue to evolve. And so you'll be able to stay tuned if you check this app frequently. And one other update I had last council meeting, I believe it was in November, we passed policy resolution 2020-10, which is extended the outdoor dining season throughout the winter and expires March 14th, 2021. And those applications, everything is set to go, and we're going to be releasing that tomorrow. And so I just want to provide that brief update as well. And with that, we're happy to take any questions you may have.
Any questions besides when is George doing the TikTok dance?
Love it.
You got the wrong guy.
I think if George does the TikTok dance, then everybody on council has to do one too.
George's kids.
The council needs to commit to this.
Yeah.
All of us, including George, but mostly just this is blackmail for George.
I think leading managers should now be leading TikTok dances in downtown. No, okay. Any questions for the? Yeah, go ahead, Dana.
And I just wanted to say, they say that TikTok does not judge, Facebook judges, but TikTok does not. So any movement will go. Are we on TikTok or is it a tag thing?
we're not currently on TikTok. They're going to be tagging us.
Okay.
And that's how it's, yeah, we're still hashing out those details, but that's essentially how it'll work.
I really like that, by the way. I'm just putting it out there. I think it's a great way to engage an audience that, you know, trying every way. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds cool. So did the money for the app just come out of is it the DBA, the downtown?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We actually have the software available as part of our GIS platform, and they've over the past year or so, probably a little less than a year, they've been releasing new capabilities through ArcGIS with these web apps, and a very powerful tool where we're able to really utilize the data that we've been collecting in a very meaningful way.
Yeah.
And so it came at no cost. And all we've been doing is Amy and her team's been working really hard to collect the downtown data and then plug it into GIS. And then we've been working with the GIS analyst, Dina Fitzgerald, and she's kind of showed us the ropes and combined everything to create this web app.
Cool. So it's possible that maybe other businesses throughout the city could get added or something?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So we can definitely look into that. We may be able to expand the app. Right now, the scope has been focused on downtown because all of our funding comes from the DDA and DMB. And I realize this app wasn't funded through them, but the primary purpose was to have that one-stop shop for downtown. But we could certainly model this, mimic this for a broader range in GIS.
And my last question is I think the app looks real cool. And if I was curious about exploring other businesses, have you guys thought about categorizing it, you know, by restaurant or clothes or jewelry?
Yeah, and that's another great question. It actually is categorized that way. I'm working on some code on the back end to be able to filter through that. And once we have that functionality will be released in an update, which won't interrupt any of the app services.
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. So thank you.
Thanks. Lisa?
Well, the much better half and I have already had several conversations about how we're spending it. And I just want to express my gratitude for the bonus $10, which will immediately be spent on tiramisu from a certain downtown grocery. I'll need to do the TikTok dancing to work it off, but anything for the tiramisu.
Thanks. Any other questions, comments? Great. When this goes out, yeah, I want to just blow it up. I want us everybody to know that this is the holiday gift that you give is an East Lansing downtown gift card. I'm really hoping that even throughout the course of this gift card program, folks or businesses can continue to sign up if that's a possibility. I think that'd be great. I think that the more attention that we bring to it means the more people that'll want to participate and the more money is going to our downtown businesses. I think especially with those orders that are in place now in terms of indoor dining, it is just really difficult for us as a city to do what we need to do to try and help businesses right now, especially our restaurants. So I really just want to press the gas pedal as hard as we can on this. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the matching money has come out of our downtown management board's budget, which is usually dedicated to marketing. So this is something that they felt would be a good marketing for downtown. There's $3,000 of match for those extra $10 add-on gift certificates. And in that meeting, we were debating about how long that would last. I personally believe that this community can burn through $3,000 of matching money in this Christmas season. So I will be very disappointed if that doesn't happen. And then hopefully, we'll be left with the problem of how to find more money to continue that matching program to move this gift card into the new year. So that is a problem that I would really like to have. And I'm personally challenging our community to shock me at how quickly we can get to that $3,000 budget. That would be a really great Christmas present for the whole council. So
go ahead, Councilmember Babcock.
But not before I get my tiramisu.
But not before Lisa gets her tiramisu. Understood. Any other comments?
You're gonna miss it out if you don't.
You got muted, but that's okay. So any other questions, comments from members of council? All right. Go ahead, Adam.
Back to this TikTok challenge in city council. I would like to see that happen. I think that would be a beautiful thing.
Oh, it'll happen. Don't worry about it. We got it.
All right.
It's all good.
So
You know,
I'd like to-
Dana and I, you wouldn't even believe it. It's going to happen. We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
go
need a lot of coaching.
single-handedly. One TikTok dance is going to save our downtown businesses. It's going to be me and Dana. No, on a serious note, I will be buying several of these gift cards myself. I think I'm going to just give them out to community members as well in an effort to just try and push it out there. I think this is a program I'm really excited about because I am constantly in conversations, especially I had a conversation with the governor's office today, which is why I even mentioned the MEDC grants that are out there for small businesses, just on the limited ability we have to continue to support our businesses during this time. And obviously there are safety measures in effect to keep everyone safe, but we are getting to a point here where a lot of people are really having a tough time. And so it is really important for us to do this. And this is going to be something, unfortunately, I think a lot of members of the community are going to get really sick of me saying, because I'm not going to stop harping on the gift cards. So thank you guys for the work on this. And thank you for the work on the app too. I think it's great to have all of that in one concise place to point people out.
Yeah, if I may, Mayor, I believe Amy and her team sent out the information on the MEDC grant that's going to be released on December 15th. So
Great.
we have blasted that information out.
Great. It's not, I think it's only like 670 businesses or something. Yeah. So let's hope a couple of East Lansing ones gets in there too. So, thanks guys. Anything else on this? Friday, 8 a.m. right at the start of the day. All right. I'm issuing a challenge to council members to see who can be the first one to send a picture of them getting a gift card. All right, guys.
Before we move on, I just wanted to say to all of our staff that's been involved with this, how incredibly proud I am of the work that you guys have been doing. It's been a real heavy lift, and you've risen to the challenge. So thank you so much for all the work that you've put in on this.
Absolutely. And very, very difficult work and trying to come up with very unique situation or solutions for very unique situations. So thank you guys. All right. I believe with that concludes our agenda for tonight. Thank you everybody for being with us. Thank you to the staff that was working really hard. Thanks to Capital Area Housing Partners for being here.